So I'm doing a different type of video today. You can't see my face. I'm literally driving and I look like I'm talking to myself, which is totally fine. There's been a lot of things I've been wanting to come on here and just openly talk about, but it's also been a very hard thing for me to be able to come out and say, because I feel like 2020 is the year where no one is allowed to have their own struggles, because, well, not even just because, well, let me rephrase it. 2020 feels like it's a year where no one is allowed to openly talk about their own struggles without getting backlash, because this is a bad year for everyone, and there's so much bigger issues going on in the world and all of these things, which, yes, it is true, but I've also learned that nobody can be expected to even begin to step up and begin to fight and try to, fix all the other issues of the world, however we see the issues in the world being, until we're able to defeat our own demons and step up, take care of ourselves, and then we can give love to everyone else. We have to make sure our own cup is full before we're able to give anything to anyone else. Liza Koshy said it best. It's like you want to give the entire world mayonnaise, but at first you have to have mayonnaise. You can't do anything if you just have mustard. So, I don't know. I feel like I've had to conceal a lot of, what I've been dealing with, how I've been feeling, and all of that, because I am afraid. Mental illness has been something I've always been very open about with myself. I feel like the more open that we are about it, the quicker we'll be able to break the stigma behind it, that it's an embarrassing thing to have, and that, we're alone. And I feel like there's so many suicide cases and all that going on because people, well, obviously this year it could be very different, but I feel like there's still a lot of cases and it's still on the rise because people feel like, they're alone because no one else wants to talk about it, or they feel ashamed that they have it and that they're not normal, they're crazy, and all these things, just because that's exactly what the stigma is behind it. It's like no one truly understands it. I've even come to learn that even people in the medical profession, they truly don't truly understand it unless they go through it themselves. Whenever I was in respiratory school, we learned a bunch of stuff from the book, obviously, but then we also were taught, well, this is how it is in the book, but real life is going to be completely different because not every single case is going to be black and white. And I feel like, obviously, I've never done psychology. I've never had that be my major as much as I wanted it to be my major. I never did it because I was told that no one's going to listen to someone who is as crazy as me and take any of my advice seriously when I can't handle my own self. But I don't know, I feel like I would want that to be something that would be said in the psychology course, because literally nothing is going to be black and white. There's absolutely no way to treat the same patient, even if they have the same diagnosis. You're not going to treat the same patient the same way because there's different stems from it, and there's different things that can cause it. I done forgot what I was talking about. What am I talking about? I don't know. Let's just go back to where I was at. I personally feel like I haven't wanted to share any of that this year, but I've really been wanting to. And today I feel like you can't see my face. I can't see myself breaking down in the camera. So maybe I'll be able to get through this. This is a video I've been trying to film for so many months, and I just haven't been able to get the words out there. But, ever since I graduated respiratory, actually no, before I graduated respiratory school, in March of this year, 2020, I was sent to the hospital because I'd accidentally eaten a brownie with cannabis in it. Nobody believes that I literally had no idea there was cannabis in these brownies. I would have been so much more cautious had I known, but I was on my period, so I was sitting here thinking, hey, chocolate, here we go, and I ate 2 of them. And these brownies were apparently triple stuffed with cannabis, like 3 times the normal amount you would put in there, apparently. And I had one of the worst panic attacks of my life, to the point where I thought that I was dying. Legit, full-fledged, in the hospital, watching my numbers drop, dying. And ever since, my panic attacks have been so much more extreme because I'm scared of getting to that point again. I was literally to the point where I was in the ambulance and there was a guy talking to me and he was like glowing, and I legit swear on my life that this man was an angel, and that he was the one that kept telling me to keep on breathing, you're going to be fine, you know, all these things. And I don't know why I'm still here. I really don't. But all I can say is that I am here. But ever since, my panic attacks have been far more extreme, almost to that level. Never truly tipping the point where my heart rate's 200 again, because that was the absolute scariest thing in the world. Especially to hear now that my heart could have burst because it was beating so hard and so fast, and that I could have heart damage from that happening. But I don't know, I'm lucky to be here. I'm lucky to be alive, but I've also still really been struggling, and I've done it unmedicated for a while because I was a full believer that my anxiety, PTSD, panic disorder, depression, everything was situational, environmental, whatever you want to call it. But whenever I moved out of my parents' house, it was like I thought that everything would be gone and I wouldn't have any issues with that anymore because I was out of the situation that caused it for all these years. But now it's like, ever since that day in March, whenever I went to the hospital, and I legit didn't think I was going to ever get to see Logan again. I didn't think I'd ever get to see my family again. I didn't think I was ever going to get to graduate and go be this respiratory therapist that I've worked so hard to become. I thought all that was being taken away from me. And ever since that day, I am so scared of my health because in the back of my mind, I keep hearing a doctor say, you're going to have heart damage from this. Your heart could have burst. So anytime I feel my heart doing anything weird, or it's like beating abnormally, or it's beating really fast for long periods of time, I flip the crap out. It's so bad that I have literally been to the emergency room 4 times in the past month. And that is not something that I typically do at all. Typically I'm someone who stays very, very, very far away from the hospital, especially during the pandemic, because, you know, the ERs, the hospitals, all of them are at capacity. They really don't have time to be dealing with someone who's having a panic attack. Now, that's not to say that if you go to the hospital because of these things that you are weak or that you are not going to be looked at. Well, I'm not saying you won't be looked at as seriously. I'm saying that you're not weak if you do it. I personally find that I have to have facts in front of me proving that I am fine in order for me to accept the fact that this is a panic attack and that I just need to relax and lay down somewhere, distract my brain for a little bit, and just relax. It's gotten to the point where I will literally carry a pulse ox to check my heart and my heart rate and my oxygen at all times. And I also have a thermometer on me at all times, because anytime I feel my head starting to like really, really burn, I automatically think, oh crap, I'm running a fever. Or I'm like, anytime I get really short of breath, of course now I'm like, I don't even think, hey Olivia, you have asthma. Hey Olivia, you have panic disorder. I automatically say, oh my God, I'm getting COVID. Oh my God, because that's just what the media has stuffed down our throats. Like every single time we have a small little symptom, a sniffle at this point, even a sneeze, it's automatically assumed, oh, this person has COVID. She's got coronavirus. And honestly, I feel like there's a stigma behind the coronavirus too, because like with any other sickness, you just be like, yeah, okay, it's just a disease. Okay, it's just a sickness. It's something somebody can fight off. Even if it's like the flu or something like that, where sometimes people can't fight it off. There's still such a strong stigma behind that. And I feel like this is something that we really need to get rid of in the medical world, whether it be like the med-surg side, whether it be the psychological side, or any other side of that there could be. There's so much stigma behind it, and a lot of it is negative. And it's just really like, I don't know, like it's almost like you really have to try your best to build up your self-esteem in order to be able to keep yourself from being down in the dumps, and accepting the fact that, well, not accepting the fact, but accepting everyone's opinions that you're crazy and that you're not normal and all of these things. Like, I've been really focusing in on tapping into my creative side a little bit more with like doing poetry and trying to put the poetry to music, and I'm learning how to play the piano and all that, just to try to like really tap my brain in. And as Gabby Hanna says, I'm totally still in her quote here, but turning my tragedies into a work of art, because I am someone who is faced with tragedies a lot. I had a very traumatic childhood, as a lot of people will say, and I feel like that's also losing its meaning, and everybody's just like, yeah, okay, whatever, your tragedy must be you lost your cell phone or something, it got taken away from you, you think it's traumatic. Like, I had an alcoholic for a parent. I watched the parent beat my other parent, beat his children, and honestly, I feel like it's worked my brain so much that sometimes whenever I recall these memories that I have, is like, sometimes people have no idea what I'm talking about, and it's the ones that it happened to. So I'm almost wondering if my brain began to create situations as, I don't know if I could say as a coping mechanism, because it just almost feels like my brain just like created all these situations, that, or the people who all this stuff happened to, and the people that I watched all these things happen to, it was almost like maybe they've blocked it out of their memory as a trauma response, or maybe my brain's just creating extra things and it's traumatized me. Like, I don't understand the brain at all. Anytime in school, in college, whenever we came to like a biology or a science lesson or whatever, and it was about the brain, I didn't understand it. Now, if you start getting me talking about like all the disorders of the brain, like psychological disorders, dude, I loved that class. Abnormal psychology was literally my favorite class to ever take, because it was almost like I was looking at myself in a mirror. Now, it was also a very detrimental class for me to take, because of the fact that I was already knowing in the back of my mind that like I have XYZ disorders, and I was sitting there looking at them, and I was like starting to like self-diagnose myself instead of like going to a doctor and having them do it, or instead of just, you know, praying and asking to, you know, take the situation away or whatever. But yeah, I feel like every time I just like start rambling like this, I lose my train of thought and I just like go like in 10,000 circles. But I also feel like talking this much and talking about all these things kind of helps for people to understand the inner workings of my brain, because usually I don't speak whenever I'm in public, or if I'm around more than 3 people, 2 people, I will not speak. I have a very poorly developed persona. I'm not good with small talk. I never have been. I've never understood the point of small talk. I'm someone, tell me what I need to know and don't talk to me for the rest of the time. If I go to get my hair cut, I don't want to talk. I don't want to try to do any of that. I hate going to get my hair cut for that reason. Like, I will always bring someone with me to carry the conversation with the hairdresser or anyone around us, because I am not physically capable or mentally capable of handling coming up with things that I can talk about, because I don't know how far is too far. I feel like if you ask, like, there's so many things you can ask that are like overstepping boundaries, and I begin to overthink it so much, and it's so stupid that I start to overthink it to that degree. But I'm almost at work. feel like my biggest thing with work right now is, I'm not working where I wanted to end up working. Like, I literally thought once I graduated respiratory school, I'd be in a hospital living the best life, happy as can be, doing what I love. And because of the pandemic and all that, it completely changed my profession. And I felt like I needed to get on medication before I could even begin to get into trying to help. My big thing with work right now is, with all the COVID cases being on the rise, we have COVID within the daycare, and there are a lot of open spots that have to be filled right now. So I've been working from like 6:30 in the morning until about 5:30 in the afternoon. So I'm doing pretty long days, and usually I will literally just work 2 days a week. No, just kidding. I work 2 hours every day during the week, and I've been happy. I haven't been making ends meet, but it's done wonders for helping with my mental illnesses and being able to cope with those, because I've learned that if I try to throw myself into work is not the answer. Like, a lot of people say, well, you just need to occupy your brain. Well, there's also a fine line between self-care and occupying the brain, because working way too much for me adds on to it, because I'm extra exhausted. I have extra feelings that I'm having to, in my head, feel like I have to dissect and figure out, okay, why do I feel this way? When in reality, I could just be extremely tired, dehydrated, tired. Did I already say tired? I don't remember if I said tired. I don't remember. There's just like so many things like that it's just like, I don't know, man. Part of me really wants to start a podcast and just like talk about things like this. I don't know how to start a podcast. I feel like this would be my first move, I guess. I don't know if anyone would listen. I just brought up something in my head. I think I've heard it before. I don't know what it is. It's like, if I wrote a song, would you listen? Or would you tell me that I'm terrible? That would make me terrible. That would make me... What is that song? It's Gabby Hanna. It's Gabby Hanna something. I'm not special. Special. That's what it is. I think I really got to where I enjoy Gabby Hanna and her music, and really just listen to a lot of things that she has to say, whether it be through a YouTube video or through her poetry, her songwriting, her singing, whatever you want, whatever. She has been through a lot of things, but she's also learned how to take what's troubled her for all of her life and turn it into something. And she's making like so many inspirational things out of it, and it's literally like she's doing exactly what I want to be doing. Like, I hate so much whenever I feel like I am so deeply inspired by someone, because I feel like I lose sight of the person that I already am and the person that I'm wanting to be. And I feel like I'm trying to just like find all the things that I like in people, and I drag them and I try to incorporate it into my own persona, since I have such a poorly developed one, according to Jordan Peterson, which, if you don't know him, he is a behavioral psychologist. He has a whole bunch of YouTube videos. He's been on Joe Rogan's show a lot. Like, he is a really intelligent man. I was introduced to him by my husband. He's really gotten into Jordan Peterson and watching all of his videos. That's literally what we go to bed watching. That's what we eat dinner watching. Like, we are all the time hearing his voice, which isn't a bad thing, because me. I've come to learn a lot of things about myself. Logan's come to learn a lot of things about himself, and he's been really working on his self-improvement journey, and I feel like that's something that's really kind of helped me want to continue to work on mine also, because in my head I've always viewed Logan as like this perfect person that I want to become. And again, like I mentioned a little bit ago, like I've always tried to like take parts of people's personas that I really look up to, and I will drag them and try to incorporate them into my own. And then whenever I can't fit that mold, I feel like it stresses me out and works me up that much more, because I feel like I'm failing as a person again. And I feel like this is one of my really big issues with myself. Whoa. That was weird. That was like a moment of like, I just discovered something about myself. I feel very inspired to write, but I don't think I'm going to be able to write whenever I get to work, because I think I'm going to be with school kids. Wow. Well, I'm glad I've done this then, because I literally just have it saved on my phone for later, and that's perfect. I love that. Alright, well, I am pulling up to work right now, so I'm going to end the video right here. I hope you are having a wonderful day wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and be nice to yourself. I need to be nice to myself. We all need to be nice to ourselves.